Okay, all right. Hello, everyone. So, if you're new to this group, I just want to express my gratitude that you are here and warmly welcome you to this space. This platform is primarily designed to provide information, education, understanding so that you can really take on board, what's going on, correlate what's going on in your body with um, scientific evidence and anecdotal evidence and your own body's wisdom. Okay, so as a holistic health practitioner and naturopath who specializes in thyroid wellness, I know too well that we can't just look at one area. We can't just look at the research because that's just a small part of the population, and that's pretty much saying that, well, because of it's worked for that amount of people, that means it will work for this person or it won't work for that person. And, it's just a little bit too linear. We need to look at it, everything kind of through the lens of a kaleidoscope so that we're really getting the multi-dimensional aspects of, research, clinical research, anecdotal evidence, and your one's own unique picture based on functional testing, signs and symptoms, diet, lifestyle, any past trauma, emotional influences, mindset influences, and the rest of it. So you can probably imagine, we really need to look at everything. However, tonight I'm really zooming in and focusing in on the gut thyroid connection. So if you're coming on in to this live training, let me know that you're here. Give me a heart, give me a thumbs up. I can see that people are here, but I don't know who you are, and I'd really love to know who's here tonight, just to make this really, really interactive as possible. However, I just want to say that what I have been doing today for the last 4 hours is going through this latest level of evidence, which is a systematic review. And those of you who have worked with me and who are my clients, you will know what a systematic review is. It's a high level of evidence. It's a gold standard level of evidence where what they do is they just take all the studies that have been done on a particular subject. They go through them with a fine-tooth comb and they weed them out. They weed out anything that's really not going to stack up and may have been sabotaged by different things and is not worth really reading. And then what they do is they run statistical analysis on the other proportion of evidence, and then they basically decide whether it's a good level of evidence or not. Okay, so I went through this systematic review and I found it really interesting because it was all about the gut thyroid axis, but not just about what we already know, which is leaky gut, the influence of leaky gut, the influence of stress on leaky gut, the influence of stress on our microbiome, and all of those influencing factors. It actually did drill down into the different microspecies of gut bacteria and what's actually going on with those gut bacteria. And they were looking at the correlations between Hashimoto's and Graves' disease, given that the gut thyroid axis is a really huge link for autoimmunity in general, and specifically thyroid autoimmunity, which is what I'm going to be talking about tonight. And I found it really interesting because I run functional testing for my clients. That's what we do. That's, in the thyroid restoration roadmap, phase 1 is to run functional testing so that we can really get a bird's eye view and understanding of what's actually going on in the gut. And I run a few different gut function tests, but the one I particularly like is the GI-360, which is a gold standard functional test. And it just delivers so much information. And I was actually going through this research and then flicking through all my clients' test reports and doing the correlations. And, you know, they don't even know that I'm going to be in contact with them soon because we've got this new level of evidence that's come out, and it's actually allowing me to really feel into, well, you know, when something is dysbiotic, when the gut microbiome is dysbiotic, which basically means imbalanced bacteria. So we've got some opportunistic bacteria which are thriving under that particular environment. We've got some good bacteria which isn't doing too well. There might be some viruses or parasites or protozoa or worms or any other thing that's going on. Yeast is another one, candida. Yeah, so there are lots and lots of different factors to consider. But when I see that there's been correlations between specific bacteria species and thyroid autoimmunity, it's like, oh, okay, this is really great because this evidence is really at the forefront now. Okay, it's really interesting. And, you know, whilst, you know, there may not be, I'll be honest, there's no statistical evidence. So statistical evidence is where it reaches a certain percentage where they go, okay, there's a definitive link. While there isn't statistical evidence in this particular systematic review, there are huge red flags and lights shining on different areas, and it's just that more research needs to be done. But I can already see the correlations with how we can modify treatment plans with my clients. I'm very, very excited about that because it's all about getting to the root cause. And once you know the root cause, that's where you can really work on those foundational layers to really bring back that cohesion and that homeostasis in the gut in this instance. You know, gut is not always the root cause. It might be a different root cause. However, what I'm finding with a lot of people that I'm working with is, irrespective of what the actual root cause is, 99.9% of the time, the gut is involved. So whether that came first or something else came first, you know, the gut is actually involved. So, you know, I mean, 2000 years ago, Hippocrates said that all disease starts in the gut. And we've come along 2000 years, and I'm kind of going, well, yep, Hippocrates, you're right. you know, like it really does, because it makes sense, because when we think about it, our gut is the seat of exchange between the external environment, that being the food that actually comes into our body, is absorbed across the digestive system, and then becomes a part of the matrix of our cells. Yeah, so and then we can then broaden that and think, well, okay, well, what else is actually going to hinder the function of the gut? Well, we've got environmental toxins, you know, the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, the microplastics, all of these things we're up against, guys. You know, it's not an easy fix these days, and it really does warrant drilling down deep and looking at all the tiny things that forever and a day you might have thought, that would make a difference. That would make a difference. You know, that having Colgate toothpaste won't make a difference. Putting my lunch in that plastic container won't make a difference. Like, seriously, this is what we're getting to. We really need to drill down deep and look at all the avenues. And that's what I do with my clients. Okay, so that being said, let's get into it. Okay, so I'm just going to do a little bit of an introduction. So firstly, you know, your gut is home to an enormous community of microorganisms. In fact, 100 trillion, which houses 70% of your microbiota. So your microbiota, which is the term used to define all of the guts in one place, 70% is in your gut. So we've also got microbes on our skin and other areas of the body, but 70% is in the gut. And, you know, there's so many different microbes. We've got bacteria, viruses, protozoa, fungi, Parasites, although that's not part of the microbiome, that's an invading intruder. We don't want a parasite. Dare I say, down the track, maybe there will be a link that there are commensal parasites that actually live happily and harmoniously without actually impacting the host being the human. Anyway, the gut microbiome is a little bit like my shirt, okay? You know, you've got some bacteria, viruses, protozoa, worms. Anyway, like, I know they're good guys, so I'm happy to wear a shirt that represents the gut microbiome, all right? Yeah, so basically the role of the gut microbiome or microbiota is it has a huge role in our health, such as, you know, improving the overall health, you know, helping us to digest the food, absorb the nutrients, helping the immune system at the level of the gut to keep the gut lining strong and prevent harmful substances from coming into the body. You know, it also helps to process certain nutrients and help process medications and environmental toxins so that they don't get reabsorbed. Okay, like it has a huge role to play. So it's no surprise that we've got so many, like 100 trillion, 100 trillion. It's amazing. Okay, so how does the gut, actually, before I get into that, I just want to hear from you, like whether you're new coming in on the replay later on, or have been with me for a while, I just drop it in the comments. Have you had a gut function test? I'd love to know. Just drop it in the comments. Let me know. Who here has had a gut function test? So a gut function test, just to give you a definition, it's not a blood test. It's actually a poo sample. It's not the one that's provided by the government to screen for cancer. It's not that. They don't look at the gut microbiome. They're not interested in that. They're interested in looking at for other things that are nasty. It's actually a poo sample, which actually the scientists actually are able to look through and actually find out what your gut microbiome, so what the makeup and the proportion of your different gut species are. So yeah, drop it in the comments. I'd love to know who here has done a gut microbiome test, because they are different. You know, I remember Jason Horolik is like the head honcho guru for gut microbiome. He actually lives in Tasmania. He's Australian. He does conferences all over the world, and he has studied a lot of species and you know, done a lot of, contributed so much research to the gut microbiome. It's amazing. So if you're ever wanting to follow someone that's basically right up there in world knowledge on gut microbiome, Jason Horolik is the key guy. But anyway, where I was going to with that, he actually, I watched a masterclass many years ago, actually when I was a thyroid a student naturopath, and he basically examined the differences between different gut function tests. So they do vary because of the testing facilities. So it's really important to get a really good quality test and actually follow the instructions. Anyway, I won't go into that right now. So let's get into this further. Okay, so what else does the gut health impact in terms of your thyroid? Well, gut hormones can actually piggyback different gut microbes in the gut. So different species can be piggybacked by thyroid hormones. So this does a couple of things. A, if you're taking thyroxine and you've got a healthy gut, the chances are that your thyroxine or levothyroxine or thyroid desiccated hormone, like the actual real glandular thyroid, will actually work better if you've got a healthy gut. If you don't have a healthy gut, it's going to be really, really difficult. In fact, they've found some studies where, well, actually, this was animal studies that was just cited within this systematic review. So that in the animal studies, they found that guts that was devoid, like it was a naked gut, like it was devoid of bacteria, had a 25% increase in TSH and a reduced level of thyroid hormone. So that I found that really interesting. Like, yes, it was animal studies, but it just kind of paints a picture of what's possible in human beings. So I found that really, really interesting. All right, so thyroid hormones and your gut. So your thyroid hormones help maintain a healthy lining. Okay, so they actually contribute, because if you think about it, our thyroid hormones have a role to play in every single organ and system in the body. So if we've got low thyroid function, we're not going to be able to, maintain the health of our gut lining. Okay, so there's different correlations there. So it used to be thought that it was the breach in the gut lining that causes the thyroid autoimmunity, which it is, but where's the chicken and egg scenario here? Like, it could be that the low thyroid hormone actually triggers that issue in the intestinal membrane. So that's a brand new line of research for me, and I found that very interesting. They also activate enzymes that break down harmful substances like LPS. So LPS is an acronym for lipopolysaccharide, which is a toxic molecule made by certain gut bacteria, such as E. coli. Not only E. coli, however, if you've had a gut function test and you have high levels of E. coli and you have thyroid autoimmunity, I would be seeing as, oh, well, there's like a strong link, a huge indicator that could be a root cause for that person. Okay? Because, this basically contributes to these lipopolysaccharides, which are toxic molecules. And these toxic molecules actually create a breach in the gut lining. Okay? So the lipopolysaccharides also trigger inflammation and weaken your immune system at the level of the gut. And if your immune system, which is in a gut function test, that marker will show up as secretory IgA. So if your immune system is low and you've got a breach in your gut lining, well, there's the likelihood that those lipopolysaccharides will slip through the cracks and into your bloodstream. Once in your bloodstream, that's where they elicit an immune response, which actually create immunoglobulins, and will impact the immune system at that level. Okay, so negatively impact it. So if we know that we've got species that are causing these toxic molecules, that's where we can actually focus our defense when we're trying to heal the gut. So this is an example of where it's important to understand what's going on at the level of the species in the gut, okay? And all of these different types of scenarios can cause multiple signs and symptoms. They can cause bloating, nausea. It could actually manifest as like small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which I've talked about some time before. It can cause leaky gut, which causes inflammation and then immune issues or intolerances to certain foods. Okay, so there are so many different ways that this can actually show up in your system. And if you're hearing me, use a little bit of terminology like small intestinal bacterial overgrowth or SIBO and leaky gut and, digestive enzymes, etc., and you're just unsure about where that fits, just type 3-part gut series, because several months ago we've already done a live training, which was a 3-part series, which really drilled down into gut function in relation to thyroid from a functional point of view. So if you'd like to learn more and you would like that link, just type 3-part gut series and then we can send that out to you. All right, beautiful. Now I'm just going to have a look on my phone because I can't actually see any activity here. So just I'm pausing for one quick nanosecond. And let me just have a look. All right, yes, I can see. Oh, great. Oh, there's all these comments. All these comments, and I haven't actually. Well, I'm going to have to come back later. For some reason, the comments are not showing on my computer screen, but they are here. So I'm going to circle back after this live training, and I'm going to carry on right now. So keep the comments coming in, and I promise I will circle back and answer all questions at the end of this live training. Okay, so gut and immune health. About 70% of your immune system lives in your gut. It's actually in the part of the gut called GUT, which is it's an acronym for gut-associated lymphoid tissue, and that actually lives in that gut lining. Okay, so it's really, really important to have a healthy immune system because this is our barrier, this is our defense. This is what actually keeps us healthy, this is what prevents thyroid autoimmunity via molecular mimicry. This is what prevents food intolerances. This is what prevents bacteria that can cause meningitis, as an example, like streptococci that actually goes through the gut lining and goes into the bloodstream, can cause, meningitis, which is really, really life-threatening. So that's just one tiny example. There are so many different reasons for having a really strong immune system at the level of the gut. Okay, so 70% of it is there. So a healthy gut helps your immune system stay balanced. And if the system is out of whack, that's when it can lead to thyroid autoimmunity, such as Hashimoto's and Graves. And this is not a quick action. This is like a slow thing that occurs over time, which is one of the reasons why if you're newly diagnosed and you're in here and you have hypothyroidism, I strongly urge you to have your thyroid autoantibodies tested, because you might actually be supporting your thyroid gland, but you're not actually supporting the gut function. And if you're not supporting the gut function and looking at that level of your immune system at the level of the gut, you could be missing a big piece. And unbeknownst to you, there is actually inflammation occurring that's just going to be causing the situation to get worse without you even realizing it. So definitely ask your GP or integrated doctor for your thyroid autoantibodies to be tested so that you can get that done. Okay, so autoimmune triggers. So some gut bacteria confuse the immune system. So the proteins look like cells in your thyroid, which leads to your thyroid, thyroid peroxidase and thyroglobulin actually turning on itself. Okay, so this I go into detail in the 3-part series. Okay, but I'm going to actually talk about some of the specific gut bacteria. So what really showed up is dysbiosis markers, like within the families, like the firmicutes and the bacteroidetes ratio is implicated in Graves' disease. So it was implicated in Graves' disease. It was inconclusive with Hashimoto's. But this is a dysbiotic marker, and this is about the ratio of these families of species. So I found that super interesting. That is a new level of evidence. Also, Bacteroides fragilis actually overexpresses an inflammasome, and these components are found in Hashimoto thyroid tissue. Okay, so Bacteroides fragilis, if you've done a gut function test and you have high Bacteroides fragilis and you have Hashimoto's, that's where we're pointing the arrow. That's where we're going to be shining the light, okay, to really bring that back into balance. So streptococcus, which is, commonly seen in a gut function test at normal levels, but if there's an overgrowth, this has been found to positively correlate with antithyroglobulin antibody levels, which exacerbate thyroid autoimmunity, specifically Hashimoto's. So that's streptococcus. So that's interesting. short chain fatty acids and the level of like bile acid homeostasis, so homeostasis meaning balance, influence gut integrity and thyroid function. Okay, so I mentioned before, like levothyroxine or your thyroxine, if you're having medication, actually, the gut composition directly impacts the absorption and metabolism of these thyroid medications, which is why I found that really interesting, because that would be why then for some people these types of medications don't work. They don't do a thing. And then for other people they do work. Okay, excuse me. Now, as a naturopath, if it's the client's goal, my goal is to work with the client's goals. It's not about my opinion. That's not relevant. It's about me working with the client's goals and having the client the best interests at heart. And if you know, my client would like to get off the medication, of course we work there. We work there. And how do we do it? One of the areas is really fixing the gut, fixing the dysbiosis, getting rid of the parasites, the blastocystis hominis, really bridging that pathway and helping to seal the gut lining and healing that. So, it can be done. It can be done. Of course, it's not just about the gut. That's what I'm talking about tonight. We look at the stress response. We look at all of these other things as well. We need to look at the whole picture. We need to see if there's any toxic elements that are causing inflammation and issues as well. But yeah, fixing the gut and just ensuring that your immune system is regulated and working really well is super important and is absolutely the first place to start. And this is why when you come into the thyroid restoration roadmap, I work my hardest. I work really, really hard to be that last stop for you. Okay, because this is my goal. My goal is your goal. So if your goal is to find the root cause and put an end to your signs and symptoms, that 100,000% becomes my goal. And I will work diligently and thoroughly on your specific case for hours on end to try and get to that root cause. And you know what? I'm just going to be honest. Sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes it's multi-complex. There are other things going on. But one thing that I can say with hand on heart is 100% of my clients get improvements in some area of their health. Okay? So, of course, we want thyroid autoimmunity, we want remission, we want to be completely healed so that we can just go on and live our best life yet. But the reality is that sometimes it can take some time. But if we can actually get you so that we steer the ship in that right direction and you're following on that trajectory and everything is going well, over time, you'll get better. Okay? So when you learn so much about your body and you understand what's going on and you heal those little bridges, those little holes in the bucket, when those are healed, you will get better. But it's not just about the physical, and I'm not even going to go into that now, but it's so much more than just looking at that physical layer. I'm just going to tell you that now. Like seriously, the way I've improved my thyroid wellness and the way a lot of my clients have improved their thyroid wellness is working beyond the physical. Like if it was just as easy as taking a probiotic and then going on with your day and then expecting everything to just fix itself, well, it would be easy, wouldn't it? And I probably wouldn't be here. So it's a lot more complex than that. Okay, so let's keep going. So, here's the big takeaway. The gut microbiota is central to thyroid health. It influences thyroid hormone production. It influences the autoimmune response and can be a trigger for autoimmune issues. Okay. And also medication efficacy. Okay, so that's what I got out of this systematic review. And the light was shone on specific species and their families, specifically for Graves' disease, however, also for Hashimoto's. So looking at dysbiosis and also small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. In addition to, of course, what we know about leaky gut, which is the zonulin pathway, and also the lipopolysaccharides and the other pathways that are involved in causing leaky gut. Okay, let me just find out what that was. I'm just going through my notes. D-lactate, I should say, which is a byproduct of gut bacterial overgrowth, which indicates dysbiosis. Okay. All right. So what's the take-home message here? You know, it is absolutely imperative. You know, you can't bypass your gut health. It is absolutely imperative. You know, like if you're wanting to understand more, and if you would just like a snapshot of what is involved in getting this level of functional testing done, just type biome and we'll have a chat. You know, it's not up to me. Like, I'm not here to convince you in one way or another. I'm here to meet you where you're at and help you walk through the door to understand more about your body to potentially heal. That's what I'm here for. I'm a facilitator for your healing. But I'm not here to try and convince you. That's actually your job. You know, that's all about you. Like, where's your health priority? Where's health on your priority scale? You know, if it's top notch, you'll probably walk through the door and get that level of functional testing done and see what's going on so you can heal. If it's not so high on your priority scale, you may not. But you know, if you're just wanting some information, just type biome and we'll have a chat. You know, I'm not here to try and convince you in one way or another. I'm just here to basically meet you where you're at, hear what's going on with your gut health and with your digestive system and what the potential triggers and potential root causes are. And then from my knowledge and understanding and research and, you know, all of the clients that I've worked with, I will create a pathway for you, which will map out what functional tests we would do together. Well, not together, you're doing the functional test. I'm actually analysing it and writing the report about it and creating a treatment plan for you. But essentially, you know, I can map out that plan for you of what I feel would be the best way forward. And then you can decide whether you'd like to go down that road or not. But typically, you know, we work for like 3 to 4 months. And from that, after that period of time, at the very least, you're going to get an enormous leap forward in your health because you're going to have the understanding, the knowledge, you're going to know what's going on, you're going to know what foods to eat, what foods not to eat, you're going to understand your mineral imbalances, you're going to understand all of the ratios, and you're basically going to have so much more knowledge and understanding and education about your body. It's just going to allow you to just carry forward with your health and heal. Yeah, as opposed to just taking a medication and just, you know, not really understanding what's going on and just doing a little bit of Googling to find out what's going on. I mean, at the end of the day, you're unique. We are all unique, and no two gut microbiotas are the same. Okay. So, which is why I feel that health is so, it's you know, it's such an interesting area because there are so many influencing factors. You know, there's environmental toxins, there's, you know, like the quality of food, you know, the source of food, the level of stress impacts, trauma, all of these things. And we really do look at it holistically so that you can actually have all of those pieces and just work on all of those pieces. But of course, with functional testing, we're working at the physical layer. You know, we're working at what's going on in the microbiome to really heal the inflammation and, you know, bring cohesion to the microbiome and bring balance so that your thyroid hormones and the thyroid autoantibodies can reduce, because that's the aim. So if you're wanting to have a chat and discuss your own unique picture, just type biome and I'll reach out to you. My team will reach out to you and we'll book a 15-minute call and have a chat and then go from there. All right, I hope you found this valuable. And to my beautiful clients watching, I will be in touch. I have only been doing this research today. So actually this live training was going to be on something completely different. It was going to be a little bit more surface level on the zonulin pathway, leaky gut, inflammation, beta-glucuronidase, and all of those things. If you're wanting that information, just type part A, because I've done another live training before several months ago, and I'll bring that through and shoot that through to you. And this can be called part B, because this is where we're really drilling down into the species and just getting into the nitty-gritty of what's actually going on in the gut, just like my shirt. All right, that's it from me. Have a beautiful evening. And yeah, information is great. You know, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power when it's applied. And when we have the knowledge and understanding about our body, and then we understand what to do and how we can apply that knowledge for our health, that's when we can get well. So blessings to everybody, and I hope you all have a beautiful week, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.